pick a card reading. I'm very excited to be here doing this with you. So, first, I want you to take a moment and take a few deep breaths and just relax and release any kind of stress, any kind of frustration, anything that is currently not serving you while I adjust the light. Um, and I want you to really focus on the energy of receiving. Get ready to receive messages from your spiritual team, from your spirit guides, from your higher self. And with the energy of receiving, with the energy of gratitude, with the energy of breakthrough, I want you to pick a card, see which one you gravitate towards. Now, before we start the reveal, I want you to take a moment and leave me a comment and let me know which card you picked. I would like for you to do so before we go over them, just so that you vocalize this decision to yourself and to the universe. Also, if you picked more than one, that is totally cool. That is acceptable. You can pick as many as you wish. So if several of those are speaking to you, then I want you to let me know as well. So on this note, we're going to get started. So we're going to start with this card. Now, if you're wondering what stone this is citrine. So let's see what the message is. Now, the message is the Five of Forces. It's a beautiful card. Summer, winter. So, however you want to perceive this card, it has two sides. You can turn it up, you can turn it down. But essentially, this card is saying that you need to focus and pay attention to what season of your life is currently taking place. If things are happening, burgeoning, speeding up, if things are going and changing and shifting all the time, then it's more like the energy of summer. Then it's time to make the decisions. Then it's time to take the actions. Then it's time to expand. So use that energy. But if it feels more like it's a slowdown and it feels like things aren't going as fast and things aren't changing as fast and you're trying but the results are not really there and there isn't that much motion and everything is just slowing down even more, don't get frustrated. That means you're in the season of winter and now is time to reflect. Now is time to recharge. Now is time to integrate the lessons of the previous seasons into your life. So be patient with the season and pay attention to what season is it for you. Now, it doesn't have to correspond with the nature seasons, but it is a season nonetheless. It's a season of your life. So pay attention what season you're in and don't expect for the summer to have, attributes of winter and vice versa. Because if you're just starting with something and the energy is expansive, then it's not really time to look for the harvest yet. But alternatively, if the energy is slow and not much is happening and you're trying but there isn't really much motion, then maybe it is time to look at how much you've already harvested. If you're in the winter, then you do have the fruit of your labor already. Even if it's not quite as much as you wanted to gather, it's still there. You still have the results. You still have the lessons that you learned. You still have the accomplishments that you've attained. You still have things to be grateful for. And you have a new course to chart for the next season. So whatever season you're in, take account. And also remember, no season lasts forever. So this too shall pass. Whatever season you're in, it's going to come to an end and the next one will begin. So ask yourself, what season am I currently in? So we'll leave that card be. We're moving on to the next one. Now, I believe this is Jasper. Okay, so this card, Caught in the Ruins. Look at this. So we see this image of the two people stuck in this cell in the ruins. Well, why is this card called Caught in the Ruins? What were these people doing in the ruins to begin with? Look, they don't really look like they belong. They look like they were just maybe passing by, and now they're stuck in some kind of an old prison cell. Well, this is what happens when you dwell on the past, okay? This is what happens when you dwell too much on the energy of the past. You're not supposed to be there in the first place. You're supposed to be in the present moment. You're supposed to be grounded in the present moment. But instead, you're walking down the memory lane and you're digging up the old trauma and you're looking at the old mistakes and you're thinking about the old relationships and you're almost back to where you were. In fact, you dwell in it so much that you end up being caught. You end up being caught up in old patterns. You end up attracting relationships that are very much like the relationships you had in the past. You end up, rekindling connections with people that were not serving you to begin with. You end up attracting people back into your life who were not good friends to you. You end up reviving patterns of behavior that were addictive and did not serve you in the past. So what gives? Why? It's because you are dwelling on that past. It's because you're revisiting the ruins of your past and you're walking around. What are you looking for in your past? What are you looking for in your past that is not in your present moment? Often it's that feeling of regret. It's that feeling of, I wish I could have done things differently. I wish it could have gone better. If only I did this or said this or thought this, it would have been different. I wish I could turn back the time. Well, my friend, there is no such thing. And you haven't missed out on anything. In fact, even all the gaps, all the mistakes, all the mishaps that have taken place back then, they were there to teach you. You wouldn't be the person you are today if you didn't go through these experiences. But these experiences, my friend, they belong in the past. They belong in the past, and you have no place dwelling on your past and getting caught in old patterns, old relationships, things that you have already outworn, things that you have already outgrown, things that you have already released and surrendered. Now, you've done a lot of work to let it go, so why bring it up? Why give it life again? Why let it come back into your life and take it over? You need to let it go. You need to let the past stay in the past. And even though there might be some feelings of melancholy and missing the good old days and wishing things were different, let that be. Let that go. You're missing out on the present moment while you're being caught in those ruins of the old days. You're missing out on what's happening right now. You're missing out on creating something truly amazing, truly spectacular, truly valuable. You're missing out on the moments with loved ones. You're missing out on things you could be doing. You're missing out on opportunities. You're missing out on growth. You're missing out on learning. You're missing out on being grounded right here in the present moment. So if you picked card number 2, my friend, let it go. Let the past be in the past. You have no business being there. You have no business being caught in the ruins and missing out on what's happening in this moment right now. So let the past stay in the past. On this note, we move on to the next card. So let's see what this one is. Now, the crystal was Tiger Eye, and the card is 2 Worlds. So this is a very intricate card. It talks about having this karmic pattern of having to choose between the mundane life and the spiritual life. So often in past history, we see that folks who were very spiritually inclined, be it a witch that lived on the edge of the forest or a monk that lived high up in the mountains, where people had to seek either isolation or a spiritual community in order to survive and also to focus on their spirituality without the distractions of the mundane life. So often we see the vows of poverty or the vows of chastity or the vows of not being involved in the mundane world, so to speak, that originated from this decision to go and pursue a spiritual life at the expense of being in the real material world. Alternatively, those who chose to have families and kids and work and cook and clean and support a life, often there wasn't much room for spirituality because life was hard. There wasn't electricity, there were no phones, there was no convenience of day-to-day life that we have access to today. So when a person chose to be very much in this life and create life and love and and work and try to make a living, often that came at the expense of spirituality. So now, today though, that story is no longer true. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to go and live in a monastery in order to pursue a spiritual life, because life is easier now and you can maintain a lifestyle and you can be in this world and you can also be spiritual. Alternatively, if you're a full-time worker or you have a business, you have a family, you have a life, a very real life, that doesn't mean that it's not spiritual. It doesn't mean that you are not spiritual. It doesn't mean that you can't also make room and pursue spirituality. So what this card is telling you, if you pick this card, is that you can do both. Maybe in previous lifetimes you had to sacrifice. Maybe in some teachings that you were exposed to early on, you kind of thought that, well, if I was to pursue spiritual life, I'll either be an outcast or I'll have to live in some isolated community. And if I want to have a real life and do things such as have a family and work and make a living for myself, then I'm not really spiritual. I kind of have to give that up. Well, this card is saying no. Maybe in previous lifetimes, yes. Maybe in history, yes. But right now, no. The times have changed. The world has changed. And you can do both. You can be spiritual and you can have a real life. You can also be extremely spiritual. And that doesn't mean that you have to sacrifice being in this world, having pleasure, meeting the love of your life, creating a family, building a business. Even if you're very spiritual, you can actually even combine those two. You can have a spiritually based business, such as what I have. But again, this doesn't mean that if you're spiritual, you have to sacrifice your life. And if if you have a real life, that doesn't mean that you're not spiritual. It means that you can incorporate spirituality, if you so choose, into your daily activities. You can meditate, you can journal, you can channel, you can have a reading done for you. You're doing this right now. You're participating in a reading, okay? Your soul chose this card for a reason. And that reason is you can have both. You get to have both. And you don't have to apologize to anyone for that. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to ask anyone's permission. Some people will tell you, no, you can't be spiritual and have a life. It's either or. It's either mundane or spiritual. No. This card is here to tell you no. That's not the case. Not anymore. It's false. It used to be like that for many reasons. And a lot of those had to do with lack of convenience and harder conditions of day-to-day life than we have today. So yes, times have changed, partially, but partially it was never true. Everything in life is spiritual. Every single thing, even the most mundane, is spiritual because you are spiritual, because you have a spirit that is your life. Okay, so this isn't the card saying sacrifice. This is a card saying you get to do both. And you don't have to have anyone's permission, and you don't have to explain yourself. You get to have both. You get to have real life. You get to have a family if you so choose. You get to build a business if you so choose. You get to travel and have fun if you so choose. You get to have pleasure if you so choose. And you get to be spiritual if you so choose. And you get to combine all of that if you so choose. So it's up to you. You're totally free to do both. On this note, we're moving on to the fourth card. So this is Carnelian. And here we have Adsum. So this is one of my favorite cards in this deck. I'm going to turn it upright so you can see the imagery here. If your soul chose this card, if you were called to choose this card, it came up reversed. It is saying that you're not using the power to call on your spiritual guides as much as you can. Now, add some is a word you might want to remember if you chose this card, because add some is a word that doesn't really have a specific meaning. It is more a command that gathers your spirit guides around you. It is a call to attention, a call to focus. So if you're having a moment where you're feeling very uncertain, you're feeling unsafe, you're feeling frustrated, you're feeling out, maybe off center, or you're feeling very much alone and you're not sure what to do, this is a good word to remember. Add some. You can just say it to yourself. You can just say add some. You can even say it, quietly, silently. You can just remember it. But what it does is it brings this awareness to the present moment. It grounds you in the present moment. And it gathers your spiritual team around you. They are always around you, but this word can be a reminder of that. So when you remember it, you remember that although they are invisible, just like in this card, you're surrounded by ascended masters, angels, spirit guides, ancestors, your higher self, and so much energy of love, compassion, help, assistance. It's always around you. You always have access to it. So this word can help you remember, but most importantly, if you pick this card is saying, you are surrounded by spiritual support. You are surrounded by assistance and guidance that you seek. All you need to do is ask. All you need to do is remember. All you need to do is call on them. When this card is reversed, it's saying, now is your time to take your power of asking the divine for assistance. It is your birthright. You were born with it. It is something that comes natural to all of us, except often we're taught that in order to ask the divine realms for assistance, it really has to be a life and death situation or something so terrible or traumatic or so significant. And otherwise, it's just in vain. It's not in vain. Every single aspect of life is sacred. Everything in life is spiritual. So every and any request that you make to your ascended master, your angelic, spiritual, your ancestral, and your higher self guidance team is sacred because it is yours. It is something that you need, something that you want, something that you desire, some clarity that you seek, an answer, a sign. It's important, and it's important enough for your spiritual guides to always, always, always answer and honor your request. So if your soul chose this card, remember, the help is right there. All you need to do is ask. And no request is too mundane or too small to be asked. There should be no shame, no reservation in asking for help from your divine spiritual guidance team. Okay? And they're right with you. They're always around. Always. And if you don't remember or don't feel that connection, or sometimes you just find yourself either depleted or frustrated or off center, then remember this word, add some, and just write it or speak it or think of it. And it will remind you that they are right there with you. All you need to do is ask. So on this note, we will move on to our final card. Now this crystal is fluorite. And the card is the Architect. So the Architect card is talking about laying and setting the foundation for your future. This is creating groundwork to power your plans. So right now, as we enter the energy of the end of the year, as the year draws to a conclusion, now is the perfect time to dream up your 2021 experience. Now is the perfect time to get together with all of your lessons, all of your aspirations, all of your plans, all of your ambitions, and to use that energy to dream up your 2021 experience. What I mean by dream up is you really need to connect with your imagination. This is not about what's possible or what's not possible. This is not about what's probable. This is about what you want. This is about what you create. And the energy of creation is very closely tied to the energy of imagination. Now, the way to use your imagination is through play, through dreaming, through daydreaming. So, what I'm inviting you to do is to find a comfortable spot, maybe your favorite coffee shop, maybe your favorite couch, maybe you're going to sit on a bed or outside on the porch, whatever it is. And I want you to get a journal and I want you to just write a story. A story. Call it a story. Don't call it a plan. Call it a story. Write a story of your ideal 2021 experience. And I want you to be generous. I want you to put in there everything that you desire, everything that you dream of. I want you to put in there all the exciting journeys and adventures and connections and fun and experiences. I want you to put in there all of your projects coming to fruition, all of your dreams coming true, and everything just working out perfectly. And I want you to write it as a story. You don't have to make it very long. And you can just make it bullet points. You don't have to actually write a story, but call it a story, my 2021 story. And just really dream it up. And don't be so serious. Don't be so focused. Don't be so concentrated. You know, maybe have a glass of champagne while you're writing it. Maybe have a hot toddy or hot chocolate or something fun. Something that will make you feel excited and joyous, like you're doing some fun activity, like you're writing a list for Santa. Remember those times when you were little and you just dreamed. You were like, I want this for Christmas and I want that. You didn't think about what's possible and what's not possible. You just dreamed. So I want you to have that experience, dreaming up your 2021 and write it down. But don't be so serious about it and don't make it a plan. Don't make it a step-by-step. Just write everything that you desire to have as part of your 2021 experience. And do it in the fashion of Santa's list, putting things onto your list that you would like to have without any reservation, without any limitation, without any worry or fear. Now that is what being an architect and using your imagination means. This is what is gonna set an energetic foundation for these experiences to be magnetized into your life. This is pure creative manifestation. So give yourself a gift of dreaming up your 2021 experience and be the architect of your dreams. And begin manifesting those dreams by seeing them, believing them, but making it a fun and playful experience. And expect miracles. You're going to be blown away. I promise you. If you follow this advice, you're going to be blown away. If your soul chose this card, you really, really should do this. And I promise you, you won't regret it. You're going to be surprised by how many of these things come true. And by the way, you don't have to revisit or reread that story unless you want to until the end of the next year. And then I want you to check in and be amazed at how many of these things come true. It will happen. So do it. On this note, you guys, thank you so much for joining me for this pick a card reading. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments how your experience went and if you're going to follow the advice that I shared with you and channeled for you in this reading. On this note, I look forward to seeing you again, so make sure to subscribe to my channel, hit that bell button below to get notified every time I upload or go live. Give this video a thumbs up if it served you, and share it with someone else. Maybe someone else wants a reading, or someone else is ready to kind of play and dance with their intuition and let their intuition guide them to a message. So do them a favor, give them a holiday gift, and share this reading with them. I appreciate you guys. I will see you very shortly. Take care and have a wonderful rest of day, week, and year that you're seeing this video in. Take care. Bye.